The warning. The halls of the Galactic Council shimmered with cold light, their crystalline walls reflecting the countless stars visible through massive observation windows. Alien delegates from dozens of star systems murmured anxiously, their voices a mixture of fear and disbelief. For centuries, the Council had maintained the delicate balance of power in the galaxy, their eyes always on the rising civilizations. Most of these species were predictable, their ambitions constrained by politics, resources, and survival instincts. But Earth had always been different. To most of the Council, humanity was a curiosity at best, a young, chaotic species barely emerging from its own solar system, often embroiled in conflicts with itself. And yet, recent intelligence reports had triggered a level of concern that none of the delegates could ignore. Earth had begun evolving faster than anyone thought possible. The Council's chambers were dominated by a massive holographic projection of the Milky Way, star systems blinking like fireflies in the darkness. Archon Relith, the highest authority of the Council, paced nervously. His four-limbed form towered over the seating pods, his exoskeleton glinting with iridescent patterns. "They are moving faster than we anticipated," he rumbled, his deep voice vibrating through the chamber. "Communications indicate new developments in their weapons systems, in their fleet formations, even in their strategic thinking." From the back of the chamber, a small cluster of junior delegates whispered among themselves. One of them, Lyrian of Vassar Prime, shivered as she glanced at the projection. "Archon, are we certain this is not a miscalculation? Earth has always been limited. Their fleets, their defenses, they are nothing compared to ours." Archon Relith stopped pacing and fixed her with his many-lensed eyes. "Do not mistake our past perceptions for truth," he said sharply. "Intelligence reports confirm, humans have been preparing in secret for decades. What we see now is only the surface. They are not what we thought." Far across the galaxy, on Earth itself, preparation was quietly underway. In the heart of the sprawling megacity of Aurora Prime, Adrian Kale, the supreme strategist of Earth, studied the latest alien transmissions. He leaned over a table filled with holographic star maps, tactical projections, and intercepted Council communications. His dark hair fell into his eyes, but he paid it no mind. Every detail mattered. Every move of the Council could be anticipated and exploited. "They underestimate us," Adrian murmured, almost to himself. His voice was calm, but the intensity in his eyes betrayed a mind always calculating. Around him, his team of human analysts worked silently, processing streams of data from multiple satellites, deep space sensors, and covert spy networks. Celera Vuenen, Earth's commander of the Starfleet, approached him, her steps echoing softly on the polished floor. "Supreme Strategist," she said, her tone measured but firm. "The Council is aware of our recent technological advances. Their fleets have started shifting positions near the Orion expanse. They're nervous." Adrian looked up, his gaze sharp. "Good," he said simply. "Nervousness is a weakness. Let them think they see it coming. Let them believe they can predict us. They won't see the full strength until it's too late." Outside Earth's atmosphere, satellites silently orbited the planet, scanning for threats while transmitting data back to Earth Command. The humans were learning to speak the language of alien warfare, analyzing strategies, decoding tactics, predicting responses. For decades, this had been a secret project, the culmination of every brilliant mind, every daring soldier, every scientist willing to push boundaries. Back in the Council chamber, murmurs grew louder. Delegate Therian of Zekra, whose species prided itself on military superiority, slammed a clawed hand against his console. "Are you suggesting," he began, but was cut off by Archon Relitha's commanding presence. "I am saying," the Archon interrupted, "that Earth is no longer a primitive world. They are dangerous. Not because of raw power alone, but because they are unpredictable, innovative, and relentless. We have underestimated them for far too long." Lyrian swallowed nervously. "But we have ships that can annihilate them in minutes. Surely they cannot stand against our combined might." Relitha's multifaceted eyes glimmered. "That is precisely what makes them dangerous. They do not fight as we expect. They do not rely solely on numbers or firepower. Humans adapt. They learn. And once provoked, they strike with a ferocity unmatched in known history." On Earth, Adrian Kale walked along the observation deck of Aurora Prime Command, looking at the stars with a mixture of awe and resolve. Below him, the city thrummed with life, engines, transport systems, and energy grids pulsing like the heart of a living organism. He thought of the Council, of the countless alien species who had dismissed humanity as insignificant, and he smiled faintly. They think fear will control us, he said quietly. They think we are bound by the same rules they are. They are wrong. Humanity will not bow. Humanity will not hide. Humanity will strike back without mercy when the time comes. Celera Vuenin joined him, her expression resolute. The fleets are ready. Weapons are calibrated. Crews are trained. Every system is prepared for the first strike. All we wait for is your command. Adrian nodded, the weight of leadership heavy on his shoulders but never paralyzing him. Patience is our weapon now. Observation our shield. And when the time comes, the Council will see a force they cannot ignore. Meanwhile, deep within the Council chambers, plans were being drafted to contain Earth, strategies that relied on decades of experience dealing with other species. Yet none of them could account for the human capacity to improvise, to innovate under pressure, or to endure what others would consider impossible. Prepare the fleets, Archon Relith ordered, his voice echoing through the chamber. Monitor Earth closely. They are small, but they may be more dangerous than anything we have faced. Keep every system ready for their move. And pray we are not too late. As the Council deliberated, back on Earth, Adrian Kale returned to his command center. Holographic projections illuminated the room, showing the positions of alien fleets, trade routes and communication networks. Every potential threat was mapped. Every possible counterstrike calculated. Humanity was ready. And soon, the universe would learn that the species it had long ignored could no longer be dismissed. In the quiet moments before action, as Earth's night skies glittered with stars and the distant hum of satellites filled the air, a single thought echoed in Adrian Kale's mind. They may call us weak. They may call us insignificant. But when the time comes, we will strike and they will regret ever underestimating humanity. The warning had been given, though not to the Council, not yet. It was a warning for the galaxy itself. Humanity was awake, aware, and ready to defend its place among the stars. And soon no one would forget it. The catalyst. Weeks had passed since the Council's quiet panic began, but to most of the galaxy, life continued as usual. Trade routes hummed with activity, mining stations orbited distant planets, and starships traversed the void with predictable precision. Yet beneath this veneer of normalcy, the seeds of a storm were being sown. The first strike came without warning. In the remote Luminari cluster, a strategic council outpost tasked with monitoring nearby star systems, humans were transporting medical supplies and research equipment to newly colonized worlds. They were unarmed, as most transport vessels were, considered non-threatening and unworthy of significant attention. But the Council had underestimated the human reaction to aggression. A sudden wave of Council ships, their dark hulls glinting ominously against the void, dropped out of warp above the cluster. Energy beams lanced through space, tearing apart the lightly defended transports in seconds. Fires erupted, alarms blared, and the few survivors were left floating in the cold emptiness of space. The message to the Council was clear: humanity had been humiliated. Back on Earth, news of the attack reached Aurora Prime Command like a hammer blow. Screens flickered with real-time sensor data, showing the destruction, the energy signatures, the debris fields. Commander Celera Vuenin clenched her fists, her jaw tight. They think this will scare us, she said, her voice low but fierce. They've made a grave mistake. Adrian Kale, standing at the head of the command center, observed the reports in silence. He did not flinch, did not shout, did not let emotion betray him. Instead, he scanned the alien fleet's formation, noting every detail: the trajectory of their approach, the timing of their strikes, the positioning of each ship relative to the others. They struck first, Adrian said finally, his voice cutting through the quiet hum of the command center. They wanted to test us, to see if we would cower. But we are not a species that bends under pressure. We learn. We adapt. And now, we respond. Celera stepped closer, her eyes reflecting the holographic display of the destroyed transports. The fleets are ready, she said. Weapons calibrated, crews trained, systems optimized. We can retaliate immediately, but the question is, what is the scale of our response? Adrian turned, his gaze sharp. A measured response would be a mistake. They expect caution. They expect fear. We give them neither. Humanity strikes back fully. We show them what they have awakened. Across the galaxy, the Council convened an emergency session. Holographic projections filled the chamber, depicting the Luminari cluster in flames, the wreckage of human transports floating helplessly. Delegates from every corner of the galaxy voiced their concerns. Delegate Therian of Zekara slammed a clawed hand on the table, his exoskeleton rattling. The humans, They are resilient. They have survived attacks that would have destroyed entire colonies. How is this possible? Lyrian of Vassar Prime shook her head. It is as the Archon warned. They are not what they appear. We have dismissed them for too long. Archon Relith, looming over the council chamber, radiated a rare tension. Prepare defensive fleets. Monitor Earth's communications and movements. They will retaliate, and when they do, we must be ready to contain them. But even as they spoke, the humans were already moving. The Earth Starfleet, under Celera Vuenen's command, emerged from the secret Orion Shroud, a cloaked star system shielded from Council sensors. The fleet gleamed in formation, sleek, deadly, and bristling with weaponry that had been tested in simulations far beyond anything the Council had encountered. Adrian Kale addressed his commanders via comlink. This is the moment we've trained for. They believe they can intimidate us with force. They believe they control the game. They are wrong. Every move we make will remind them that humanity does not submit. Humanity does not surrender. Humanity survives, and thrives, against impossible odds. The human fleet moved with precision, emerging like a shadow from the shroud, surrounding the Council's patrol vessels before they could react. Energy weapons flared, cutting through alien hulls with calculated efficiency. The Council ships, designed to overwhelm primitive species, faltered against tactics they could not anticipate. Celera Vuenen's voice rang through the fleet. Target their command ships first. Disable communications. Leave the rest as witnesses. Within moments, the first wave of Council ships was incapacitated. Alien pilots had expected a cautious retaliation, a symbolic strike at most, but instead they faced coordinated human strategy, combining speed, firepower, and cunning maneuvers no one had predicted. Meanwhile, Adrian Kale's mind raced. He anticipated the Council's next move before they even realized it themselves. They will send reinforcements through the outer worm gate, he said. Interceptors are ready. Cut them off. Do not allow them to regroup. As human ships intercepted incoming reinforcements, the Council delegates began to realize the scope of their miscalculation. Communication systems crackled with panic. Delegate Arwentich of Yaltrax muttered, "How can a single planet, primitive by our measures, coordinate such an assault? They are beyond comprehension." Adrian watched the progress, his face unreadable, yet inside, a sense of grim satisfaction settled over him. This was more than retaliation. It was a declaration. Humanity had been underestimated, dismissed, and mocked. Now the galaxy would remember that Earth did not strike blindly, it struck with purpose, precision, and resolve. In the command center, Celera Vuenen surveyed the battlefield. "They are trying to flee," she said. "But our ships are faster. Our tactics are superior. We control the field." Adrian Kale nodded. "And when the smoke clears, the message will be unmistakable. Humans are not a threat to be contained. Humans are a force that cannot be ignored. We will not forgive. We will not forget. And we will not bow." As the human fleet moved with ruthless efficiency, debris fields floated in the void, silent witnesses to the beginning of a shift in galactic perception. Across star systems, other species that had once mocked humanity began to take notice, wondering quietly, how had a species so young, so small, become so formidable? Back on Earth, civilians watched news feeds of the fleet's retaliation, cheering for their warriors among the stars. Children gazed at the night sky, dreaming of one day joining the ranks of those who had defended humanity's honor. Scientists and engineers returned to their labs with renewed purpose, knowing their innovations had helped craft a victory that would echo across the galaxy. And somewhere in the shadows of the Orion Shroud, Adrian Kale allowed himself a moment to reflect. "This is only the beginning," he said softly, almost to himself. "They have felt our strength, but they have not yet understood it. When we strike fully, when the Council truly sees what humanity is capable of, they will be left speechless." The catalyst had been set. A single act of aggression had awakened humanity's full potential. And in the darkness of space, as alien ships fled in confusion and panic, one truth became undeniable. Earth was no longer a species to be trifled with. The galaxy had been warned. And when humanity struck again, there would be no mercy. Humanity awakens. The vast emptiness of space, usually a silent witness to the endless motions of stars and planets, now trembled with a new sound, the synchronized hum of Earth's starfleet, emerging from the hidden Orion Shroud. Cloaked from alien sensors for decades, the system had been humanity's secret sanctuary, a place where innovation met preparation, and where Earth's finest minds and soldiers converged to redefine what a single planet could achieve. Adrian Kale, standing on the observation deck of the flagship Dauntless, gazed at the fleet spread across the void like a constellation of human ingenuity and determination. Sleek warships glinted under the distant starlight, their hulls bristling with energy cannons, plasma torpedoes, and experimental defense shields. Unlike the Council's rigid, predictable fleets, each human ship had been engineered for adaptability. Each crew trained to anticipate the unexpected. "This is the moment they underestimated," Adrian murmured, addressing the gathered commanders via the fleet's holographic link. His voice was calm, but beneath it pulsed a quiet intensity that demanded attention. "They believe they have tested us. They believe fear can keep humanity in check. They are wrong. Humanity awakens now, and when we move, the galaxy will see that our species is not defined by weakness or size, but by our resolve, our ingenuity, and our unyielding spirit." Commander Celera stepped beside him on the deck, her dark eyes reflecting the starlight and the anticipation of battle. "Fleet status?" she asked, her voice steady, almost ritualistic. "All ships operational," Adrian replied. "Weapons calibrated. Shields at maximum efficiency. All crews ready. Sensors indicate that the Council's patrols are repositioning, but they have no idea what is about to strike. We control the field." For centuries, the Council had ruled with confidence, believing that no species could challenge their authority. But humans were not predictable. Humans were not bound by centuries of rigid military tradition or preconceived notions of strategy. Where alien fleets relied on overwhelming force and slow, calculated movements, humans thrived on adaptability and innovation. The first engagement began with a ripple through the void. The Dauntless and accompanying strike vessels moved in unison, a formation designed to maximize firepower while minimizing exposure. Energy beams lanced through the darkness, targeting alien scout ships that had dared to investigate the Orion Shroud. Within seconds, the Council scouts were disabled, their once proud hulls drifting silently among the stars. Adrian's voice came over the fleet comms, calm but commanding: "Target the forward command ships. Disable communications. Isolate their forces. The rest will serve as witnesses to humanity's strength." The human fleet moved like a single organism, coordinated and precise. Ships split and rejoined in complex patterns, their weapons striking with devastating accuracy. Alien captains, trained to expect linear, predictable tactics, found themselves outmaneuvered at every turn. Missile salvos missed, energy shields were bypassed, and communication networks jammed before any coherent countermeasure could be enacted. Meanwhile, the Council in their distant chambers watched in horror as reports flooded in. Holographic projections displayed alien ships being neutralized in ways no one had anticipated. Entire fleets were immobilized, yet few humans were lost in the process. Panic rippled through the delegates. Delegate Therian of Zekara slammed a clawed hand against his console. "This is impossible. They should not have the coordination, the efficiency, the cunning." Lyrian of Vassar Prime whispered, trembling. "They've been preparing for this, for decades. This is not a spontaneous defense. This is deliberate. Humanity has awakened." Adrian Kale, observing the unfolding chaos, allowed himself a faint smile. Humanity's awakening was not just about firepower, it was about strategy, innovation, and unpredictability. Where alien fleets relied on numbers and rigid formations, humans adapted in real time, leveraging enemy weaknesses they had meticulously studied for years. The turning point came as the fleet approached the Veil Nebula, a region previously considered impassable due to gravitational distortions and unstable energy fields. Alien captains had assumed humans could not navigate it without catastrophic losses. But human ships had been equipped with advanced gravimetric stabilizers and adaptive navigation systems, allowing them to weave through the nebula with precision. Celera voice rang over the comms. "All units, maintain formation. The Council believes this sector is a natural barrier. Let's prove them wrong." Energy beams reflected off the nebula's crystalline structures, scattering into dazzling displays of light as human ships weaved through the chaos, striking at Council vessels trapped within the region. Alien shields overloaded, energy surges erupted, and panic spread across the enemy ranks. Adrian Kale addressed the fleet, his voice calm but unwavering: "Do not underestimate them. Their desperation is our advantage. Anticipate every move. Humanity does not flee. Humanity does not surrender. Humanity adapts. Humanity triumphs." The final maneuver of the first engagement was a coordinated pincer strike that encircled the remaining Council patrols in the sector. Alien ships, unable to escape or communicate, watched in stunned silence as human forces demonstrated a level of tactical sophistication that no species had ever seen. The Council's emergency chambers were filled with panic. Archon Relith, usually composed, pounded his clawed hand against the console. Stop them. They cannot be allowed to gain momentum. Contain them, or the galaxy will witness the rise of a force we cannot control. But containment was impossible. Humanity had awakened not just to fight, but to reshape the perception of their species across the stars. Every move was deliberate, every strike calculated, every maneuver designed to convey a single undeniable truth: Earth would no longer be ignored. As the smoke cleared in the Veil Nebula, debris floated silently, bearing witness to the unprecedented display of human ingenuity. Alien fleets retreated, disorganized and humiliated, while human forces regrouped without loss. On the Dauntless, Adrian Kale turned to Celera Vuenen. "This is only the beginning," he said. "They have seen a glimpse of what we are capable of. Soon the Council will learn that humanity does not merely survive, it dominates when underestimated. We awaken not as pawns but as a reckoning." Celera nodded, her eyes scanning the stars. "The galaxy thought it knew us. They were wrong. Humanity awakens and there will be no turning back." And in the silence of space, amidst the ruined remnants of alien fleets and the glimmering trails of human ships, one undeniable truth emerged. Earth was no longer a fledgling planet to be dismissed. Humanity had awakened. The galaxy would never see them the same way again. The galactic shock. The news spread across the galaxy faster than any Council dispatch could travel. Alien star systems, once confident in the Council's absolute authority, now whispered in fear and disbelief. Entire fleets had been neutralized in the Veil Nebula. Outposts in the Luminari cluster had been struck with surgical precision. And yet, the humans had emerged with minimal losses, their movements so calculated it seemed almost preternatural. In the heart of the Council chambers, panic rippled through delegates like an electric current. Crystal floors reflected the anxious movements of alien representatives, while holographic displays projected the damage inflicted by Earth's fleets. Ships burned silently against the backdrop of distant stars, a stark reminder that the Council's dominance was no longer guaranteed. Archon Relith, usually composed and methodical, paced the central dais with unusual agitation. His multifaceted eyes glinted with concern as he reviewed the reports. "They were dismissed as insignificant," he said in a voice that trembled with rare emotion. "They were supposed to be an afterthought, a minor inconvenience. And yet, they have proven exceptional." Delegate Therian of Zekra banged his clawed hand on the console. "Exceptional does not even begin to describe it. Entire fleets have been incapacitated, and their coordination. How can a single species coordinate such precision across such distances?" Lyrian of Vassar Prime, who had long advocated for caution regarding humanity, could barely contain her unease. "They've studied us, our tactics, our formations. They anticipated our moves before we even made them. How is this possible?" Relith's tone hardened. "It is possible because they are unpredictable. They think differently. They act with creativity we do not comprehend. They have adapted faster than any species we've encountered, yet they remain utterly human in form and spirit. That is what terrifies me." Meanwhile, in remote star systems, reports of human attacks and victories triggered a chain reaction. Traders, miners, and explorers alike began to second-guess the Council's authority. Alien colonies, long reliant on Council protection, started questioning the value of obedience when humans could strike anywhere, anytime, with devastating effect. Back on Earth, Adrian Kale monitored the galaxy's reaction with a detached focus. From the command deck of the Dauntless, he observed the alien fleets in disarray, the Council scrambling to reorganize and issue directives. Each ship, each tactical maneuver, every misstep by the Council validated his planning. "They're panicking," Celera Vuenen said, her voice calm but sharp. "Their communications are in chaos. The fleets are retreating without forming coherent lines. It's as if they've never faced an enemy like us before." Adrian nodded. "Exactly. They believed their size, their experience, and their confidence would be enough. They failed to account for human ingenuity and adaptability. They underestimated the one thing they cannot calculate, the human spirit." The Council attempted to regain control. Reinforcements were dispatched to regions where human forces had struck, fleets were repositioned, and energy barriers were erected around vulnerable systems. Yet every move was anticipated. Human ships, guided by real-time data analysis and predictive algorithms, struck only where it maximized disruption and minimized risk. In one bold maneuver, Celera led a small strike team through the Krylon Rift, a region notorious for unpredictable gravitational anomalies that had destroyed countless alien vessels. Using experimental navigation systems, the team emerged unscathed, striking a critical communication hub used by the Council to coordinate fleet movements. The hub was destroyed in minutes, severing the Council's ability to issue coherent orders to scattered fleets. The Council chamber erupted into chaos as holographic projections of the destroyed hub flashed across the room. Delegates recoiled, their senses overwhelmed by the sudden loss of command. They are everywhere," whispered Arwendich of Yaltrax, his voice barely audible. "They are not just striking, they are orchestrating a symphony of destruction." Archon Relith, struggling to maintain composure, slammed his hand against the central console. "We have underestimated them for centuries. And now the galaxy sees what we dared to ignore. Humanity is no longer insignificant." The shock extended beyond the Council. Independent star systems, some long neutral or even allied with the Council, began reassessing their loyalties. Reports of human victories ignited a wave of admiration and fear. Propaganda broadcasts spread by human sympathizers emphasized that Earth was not a warmonger. It was a species defending itself, proving that even the smallest, seemingly weakest world could shape galactic events. On the Dauntless, Adrian Kale addressed his fleet. "They are panicking, yes. But panic alone is not victory. We must act decisively, strike strategically, and demonstrate that humanity's power is not fleeting. Humanity adapts, humanity endures, and humanity triumphs. Let this be the moment they remember for centuries. Humans are not to be underestimated." Celera voice echoed across the fleet. "All units, prepare for coordinated strikes in the Council's northern sectors. Focus on disabling communication arrays and supply lines. Show them that no system is beyond our reach." As human ships advanced, alien fleets tried to mount a resistance, but their efforts were scattered and ineffective. The human strategy relied not on overwhelming force, but on precision, adaptability, and the exploitation of alien expectations. Every move the Council anticipated was turned against them. Every assumption about human behavior was proven wrong. Across the galaxy, the term Earth's Awakening began to circulate among star systems. Species that had once dismissed humanity as a backwater civilization now regarded them with a mixture of awe and trepidation. Rumors spread of human ingenuity and courage, of fleets striking where no one expected, and of humans surviving impossible odds. In the quiet moments between battles, Adrian Kale and Celera observed the chaos. "They are stunned," Celera said. "Even their most confident captains are questioning everything they know." Adrian nodded. "Let them be stunned. Let them feel it. This is the power of being underestimated. When the Council thought they could ignore us, humanity awakened." As the Council scrambled, attempting to regain control, the galaxy collectively realized a harsh truth. Earth was no longer a planet to be dismissed. Humanity had entered the stage of galactic significance. And the Council, which had long dictated the rules, would have to rethink everything. The shockwaves of humanity's awakening were not limited to fleets or colonies, they were psychological, cultural, and strategic. Alien species began to understand that humans were unpredictable, capable of adapting in ways no algorithm could predict. The era of underestimating Earth was over. And somewhere in the hidden depths of the Orion Shroud, as the human fleet regrouped after their first decisive victories, Adrian Kale allowed himself a rare moment of satisfaction. "They've seen the beginning," he said quietly. "But they have not yet seen the full scope of what humanity is capable of. That will come, soon." The galaxy trembled in silent recognition. Humanity had struck, and the shock of their capabilities would reverberate for generations. The Galactic Council, speechless and humbled, had learned a lesson no delegate would ever forget. Earth strikes back, and when it does, the universe listens, the Council's desperation. The Galactic Council had never faced a crisis like this. The reports kept coming, fragmented transmissions of fleets destroyed, outposts crippled, and command stations incapacitated. Panic reverberated through the crystal halls, bouncing off the walls in a chorus of fear and disbelief. Every delegate felt it. The confidence that had defined their governance of the galaxy for centuries was slipping through their fingers. Archon Relith, his usually unshakable composure fractured, slammed his clawed hand against the central dais. His many-lensed eyes scanned the latest reports, each one worse than the last. This cannot continue," he growled. "We have underestimated humanity for too long. They are not just a threat, they are rewriting the rules of engagement." Prepare the defensive fleets. Every system must be fortified. We must contain them, or perish. Delegates scrambled to respond. Therion of Zekra barked orders to scattered military commanders, attempting to consolidate fleets and redirect reinforcements. Focus on the Orion Shroud. If we can trap them there, perhaps we can contain this madness. But containment was no longer an option. The humans had proven they were adaptable, innovative, and ruthlessly efficient. Every attempt to anticipate human movements had failed. Every strategic assumption the Council relied upon was shattered. "Contain them," whispered Lyrian of Vassar Prime, her voice trembling as she watched the real-time feed of human fleets emerging from regions previously thought impassable. "They are already beyond containment. Their reach, their speed, it's unlike anything we've ever seen." The Archon's mandibles clicked sharply, a sound that carried tension throughout the chamber. "We are running out of time," he said, voice taut. "Prepare the Council's central fleet. Send the elite captains. Deploy experimental weapons. We cannot afford another defeat." Meanwhile, across the galaxy, Earth's fleets moved with purpose. They had no desire to destroy indiscriminately, yet their strikes were precise, calculated, and effective. Civilian colonies were left unharmed. Strategic targets, command hubs, and warships were neutralized in a way that maximized pressure on the Council without unnecessary loss of life. Humanity's message was clear: we are powerful and we are awake, but we do not strike without reason. Adrian Kale stood on the deck of the Dauntless, observing the galaxy with calm determination. "They are desperate," he said to Commander Celera Vianen, his eyes scanning the projected maps of Council fleet movements. "Desperation is predictable. Desperation leads to mistakes. Every decision they make now will be influenced by fear." Celera nodded, her dark eyes focused and calculating. "And every mistake is an opportunity. Humanity thrives when underestimated. Every time they think they corner us, we adapt and we strike back stronger." Back in the Council chambers, desperation began to erode rational thought. Delegates shouted over one another, proposing increasingly extreme measures. Blockade entire systems, deploy experimental superweapons, even consider preemptive strikes on Earth itself. Archon Relitha's mandibles clicked with controlled fury. "Enough," he roared. Silence fell, save for the crackle of holographic communications. "We will not act recklessly, but neither will we stand idle. Assemble the Council's elite forces. Prepare the Oblivion Fleet. They are to intercept and neutralize Earth's main fleet at all costs." The Oblivion Fleet was legendary, composed of the most advanced warships and the finest alien crews the Council could muster. Yet even its captains approached the mission with unease. Rumors of human adaptability, tactical brilliance, and unpredictable maneuvers had spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Few believed that conventional strategies would succeed. Captain Arwantage of Yaltrax, commander of a strike wing within the fleet, spoke with rare hesitation. "Archon, they are not like other species. They improvise. They adapt. They strike where we least expect. Even our elite forces may not withstand them." Relitha's many eyes narrowed. "Then we adapt. We combine forces, deploy advanced weapons, and force them into a corner. Humanity has awoken, but we will remind them that the Council is still the law of the galaxy." Meanwhile, Adrian Kale and Celera Vuenen analyzed the projected movements of the Oblivion Fleet. Every pattern, every calculation, every potential strike was considered, tested, and countered in advance. Humanity's strength lay not just in weapons or ships, but in anticipation, innovation, and relentless determination. "Every move they make," Adrian said quietly, "we can predict. Every assumption they rely upon, we will exploit. They believe we will respond conservatively, cautiously. We will give them nothing they expect. Humanity does not follow the rules of fear. Humanity creates them." Solara's hand hovered over the fleet control interface. "And when we strike, it will be a lesson they will never forget. Not destruction, not surrender, but understanding. Humanity does not bow. Humanity does not yield. Humanity endures." The Council's desperation escalated into a dangerous mix of aggression and paranoia. Every fleet, every weapon, every experimental device deployed was met with a counter from the human forces, calculated not by sheer force but by strategy, ingenuity, and foresight. Council warships found themselves trapped in ambushes, their shields overloaded, their communications severed. As the Oblivion Fleet moved into position, it became clear that their finest captains had underestimated the human capacity for adaptation. Ships were forced to retreat, their formations collapsing under the relentless precision of human tactics. Panic replaced discipline, hesitation replaced decisiveness, and the Council began to realize a terrifying truth. Earth was no longer a minor threat. Humanity was a force reshaping the rules of engagement itself. Inside the Council chambers, the air was thick with tension. "They are everywhere," whispered Delegate Lyrian, her voice tinged with awe and fear. "They are not just fighting, they are redefining what it means to be a threat." Archon Relitha's mandibles clicked in frustrated calculation. "Prepare for direct confrontation. We will not allow them to continue their advance. If we must, we will bring the Council's full might to bear. Humanity will learn that even the most adaptable species has limits." Yet even as the Council prepared for decisive action, the humans continued to outmaneuver them. Each fleet engagement, each strike, and each tactical maneuver demonstrated the depth of human ingenuity, the courage to act where others hesitated, and the relentless determination to protect their home while challenging an entire galactic order. Adrian Kale observed the Council's desperation with quiet satisfaction. "They think panic can stop us," he said. "They believe fear can control us. Humanity does not bow to fear. Humanity does not submit to doubt. Humanity strikes, and when we strike, it is with precision, with purpose, and with inevitability." As the galaxy watched, Earth's forces demonstrated a truth that would echo through history. The Council's authority was no longer absolute. Humanity's awakening was more than a tactical victory, it was a psychological revolution. For the first time, the species once dismissed as primitive had become a central force in galactic affairs, and the Council, despite all its power, was forced to reckon with a reality it had long ignored. The desperation of the Council only fueled humanity's resolve. Every fleet that moved against Earth, every weapon aimed at human targets, every attempt to regain control of the situation was met with calculated countermeasures. Alien delegates whispered among themselves, realizing too late that they had underestimated a species that had turned survival into art, science, and strategy. And in the quiet of the Dauntless, Adrian Kale allowed himself a rare smile. Humanity had not only defended itself, it had shown the galaxy that being underestimated was not a weakness, was a weapon. And the Council's desperation had only made that weapon sharper. The stage was set for the next act, the final confrontation that would determine whether humanity's awakening would be recognized as a reckoning for the Council or dismissed as a temporary anomaly. One thing was certain, the galaxy would never again view Earth as a minor player. Humanity had arrived, and it was unstoppable. The final strike. The galaxy held its breath. Across countless star systems, alien populations watched in awe and fear as Earth's fleet approached the Galactic Council's home system, a cluster of crystal planets and artificial satellites that symbolized centuries of authority. For the first time in history, the Council faced an enemy that did not merely resist. It challenged their supremacy with precision, strategy, and relentless willpower. On the bridge of the flagship Dauntless, Adrian Kale stood with Commander Celera Vunen and the fleet's senior officers. Every eye was fixed on the holographic display showing the Council's central system. Concentric defense grids, orbital weapon platforms, and layers of patrol fleets ready to intercept any intruder. "They expect us to hesitate," Adrian said, his calm tone carrying an unspoken command. "They believe their numbers and technology will intimidate us. Let them believe it. Our strike will teach them a lesson no algorithm can predict." Solara's hand hovered over the fleet control interface. "We've anticipated every patrol, every weapon platform, every defensive formation. The Council's arrogance has left them exposed in ways they cannot imagine." Adrian nodded. "Initiate the final sequence. Humanity strikes not to destroy but to command respect. Precision, speed, and adaptability. Everything else is secondary." The Dauntless led the fleet through a series of gravitational corridors, using newly mapped wormholes and energy channels to avoid detection until the last possible moment. Alien fleets attempting to intercept them were repeatedly outmaneuvered, trapped in ambushes, or rerouted into areas where human ships could control the battle's tempo. From orbit, the Council's crystal cities glittered in the void, pristine and seemingly invulnerable. Yet humans did not aim for indiscriminate destruction. Their first targets were command nodes, communication arrays, and weapon control hubs. Disabling these would paralyze the Council's ability to coordinate, giving humanity the upper hand without unnecessary collateral damage. Adrian's voice carried through the fleet. "Focus on command and control. Let the rest witness the consequences of underestimating humanity." Energy beams lanced from human vessels with unerring accuracy, striking key satellites and disabling orbital defense platforms. Alien fleets scrambled to respond, but every movement had been predicted, every maneuver anticipated. Humans struck like a storm, fast, precise, and overwhelming in its simplicity. In the council's chambers, chaos erupted. Archon Relith slammed his clawed hand against the holographic console as alarms blared throughout the system. Delegates shouted over each other, trying to coordinate defense, but it was too late. The humans had already crippled the council's communications. Fleets were isolated, command chains broken, and panic spread like wildfire. "They are everywhere," gasped Delegate Therian of Zekara, his voice barely audible over the commotion. "How can one species, one planet, orchestrate this?" "They have adapted," whispered Lyrian of Vassar Prime, her compound eyes wide with shock. "Every move we make, every pattern we anticipate, they've already accounted for it. This is beyond strategy. This is genius." Back on the Dauntless, Adrian Kale observed the final approach, his expression calm and resolute. "We give them a choice," he said to Celera. "Not surrender, not capitulation, but understanding. Humanity does not seek war for war's sake. Humanity fights to be respected. Let this strike remind them of what we are capable of." Celera nodded, issuing fleet-wide commands. "All units converge on the Council's central hub. Disable defense grids. Neutralize orbital weapons. Maintain minimal casualties. Precision is key. Humanity must leave a statement, not a massacre." Human ships moved like a single organism, weaving through defense fields, absorbing minor attacks while striking critical nodes. Alien ships, heavily armed and well-trained, were caught in the human web of calculated chaos. Every attempt to retaliate was countered by adaptive maneuvers, predictive targeting, and coordinated strikes across multiple vectors. The Council's homeworld shook under the assault. Crystal towers flickered as energy shields failed, communication networks collapsed, and orbital defenses fell silent. Delegates realized the enormity of the situation. Their centuries of power, their fleets, their weapons, all had been outmatched by a species they had long dismissed. Archon Relitha's mandibles clicked sharply. "Prepare for evacuation," he ordered, though even he knew it might be too late. "We will regroup, but humanity has shown us we are no longer the apex of strategy in this galaxy." Adrian Kale watched as the Council's forces faltered. "Do not destroy," he reminded Celera. "We are here to teach, not to annihilate. Let them witness our strength, our precision, and our restraint. That is the mark of true power." In minutes, the final strike was complete. The Council's central command hubs were incapacitated. Orbital weapon platforms were neutralized. Alien fleets retreated in disarray. Humanity's message was unambiguous. They were a species to be respected, a force to be reckoned with, and no longer a backwater civilization to ignore. Across the galaxy, the reactions were immediate. Independent star systems, previously loyal to the Council, began questioning their allegiance. Traders, explorers, and neutral colonies saw the display of human efficiency and adaptability and whispered among themselves. Earth had awakened, and the era of underestimating humanity was over. On the Dauntless, Adrian Kale allowed himself a faint smile. "The Council has learned its lesson," he said softly. "Humanity strikes with precision, with purpose, and without mercy, but not recklessly. They will never forget today. The galaxy will never forget it." Celera Vunn's eyes scanned the stars beyond. "They believed their technology and authority could intimidate us. They underestimated human resolve. Humanity does not bow. Humanity does not yield. Humanity endures, and when it strikes decisively." As the fleet regrouped and moved away from the Council system, the silence of space seemed heavier than ever. Alien delegates, scattered and humiliated, could only watch and acknowledge that a new force had arisen. A species they had dismissed as primitive had proven itself formidable in intellect, strategy, and courage. And somewhere in the darkness of space, Adrian Kale's voice echoed across the fleet. "Let this be a warning. Humanity does not forgive, humanity does not forget, and humanity always strikes back." The final strike was more than a battle one, it was a declaration. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage. They had awakened, and no force in the universe could ignore them again. Silence and respect. The galaxy had never experienced silence like this. The chaotic bursts of battle, the screaming of alarms, the frantic commands from the Council fleets, all had ceased. Across countless star systems, beings watched in stunned awe as reports filtered in. Earth's forces had struck, and now for the first time the Galactic Council was speechless. In the Council's chambers, delegates could only sit in frozen disbelief. Holographic projections displayed the aftermath. Fleets crippled, command nodes disabled, orbital defenses neutralized. Every crystal city, every satellite, every fleet that had once symbolized centuries of authority had been outmaneuvered and outmatched by a species they had dismissed as insignificant. Archon Relith, his multiple lenses focusing in every direction, remained silent longer than anyone could remember. His mandibles clicked slowly, as if trying to process a reality that defied all precedent. For decades, he had controlled the council with strategy, intimidation, and tradition. Now, all of that authority seemed fragile against humanity's clarity of purpose, ingenuity, and relentless determination. Delegate Lyrian of Vassar Prime finally spoke, her voice trembling. They have changed everything. We underestimated them for centuries. They are not a backwater planet. They are a force to be reckoned with. Therian of Zekara, normally brash and commanding, lowered his gaze. We believed our fleets, our weapons, our experience would suffice. We were wrong. Humanity, they are unlike anything we've faced. Across the galaxy, similar whispers spread. Traders, explorers, and neutral colonies that had once followed the Council's decrees now questioned their loyalty. Alien species who had dismissed Earth now revered it, feared it, and respected it. The message was clear. Earth was awake, humanity was rising, and the galaxy had no choice but to acknowledge them. On the Dauntless, Adrian Kale stood at the observation deck, his gaze sweeping across the stars. The remnants of the Council's fleets floated silently in space, a stark reminder of the consequences of underestimating humanity. Around him, the human crews celebrated quietly, not in triumphal arrogance, but in recognition of a victory hard-earned through intelligence, coordination, and sheer resilience. Celera Viwenin joined him, her expression serene yet intense. They are speechless, she said. Every fleet commander, every delegate, they cannot believe what they've witnessed. Humanity is no longer a species to be ignored. Adrian nodded. Silence is respect, Celera. They have seen our power, our discipline, our capacity for strategy and restraint. They have learned that underestimating humanity is unwise. And this silence? It speaks louder than any words of surrender could. The human fleet moved in formation through the void, not to continue destruction but to assert presence. Ships patrolled strategic corridors, demonstrating control without unnecessary aggression. Humanity's message was deliberate. We are here, we are capable, and we will protect ourselves, but we are not mindless conquerors. In distant colonies, broadcasts from Earth spread rapidly. Scientists, engineers, soldiers, and civilians alike became witnesses to the story of humanity's rise. Children gazed at the night sky with wonder, dreaming of one day joining the ranks of those who had defended their home. Scholars and historians noted the turning point, the day humans struck back and left the Galactic Council speechless. Back in the council chambers, Archon Relith finally spoke, his voice quiet but resolute. Humanity has awakened. Their strategy, their discipline, their spirit, all are formidable. We will need to reconsider every assumption we have made about them. And, perhaps, we must begin to respect them. Delegate Lyrian added softly, almost in awe, respect and caution. Humanity does not forget. Humanity does not forgive. And they will not allow themselves to be dismissed again. Adrian Kale, observing these reactions from afar, allowed himself a rare smile. Humanity had achieved more than victory. They had earned recognition, respect, and a seat at the table of galactic influence. The Council's shock, the silence, the forced acknowledgement, it was all proof that Earth had secured its place among the stars. Let them speak of this day for centuries, Adrian said quietly. Let every corner of the galaxy remember, humans are not to be trifled with. We strike with precision, with purpose, and with understanding. And when humanity rises, it rises to protect, to endure, and to command respect. Solara's voice, calm but resolute, broke the silence. We have shown the galaxy what it means to be underestimated. Let that be enough for now. Humanity does not seek endless war. But we will not shrink from the consequences of our own strength. Across the Council systems, alien delegates returned to their ships and outposts, their minds racing with the implications. Humanity had proven that ingenuity, adaptability, and courage could overcome centuries of assumed superiority. The silence left in the wake of human strategy was not a void, it was a testament to power earned through discipline, intelligence, and resilience. In the quiet aftermath, humanity began to rebuild and reinforce. Colonies were strengthened, fleets upgraded, and strategies refined, not for conquest but for protection. The galaxy now knew that Earth was awake, and no species, council, or force could ever again dismiss humanity as weak or insignificant. Adrian Kale stood alone for a moment, looking out at the stars that had witnessed humanity's awakening. "The council is speechless," he said softly. "But in that silence lies understanding. They have learned a truth we have always known: humanity does not bow. Humanity does not yield. And humanity always strikes back." Celera joined him, her gaze steady. "And the galaxy now knows it too. Silence is respect. They cannot ignore us. And they will never forget what we have shown them." As Earth's fleets returned to orbit, civilians cheered, soldiers debriefed, and leaders across the galaxy quietly reconsidered their assumptions. Humanity had not only defended its home, it had announced its arrival to the stars. From that day forward, Earth earned a new name among the stars: the Relentless World. A species once underestimated had awakened fully, leaving a message clear to all: humanity endures, adapts, and strikes with precision when provoked. The silence was complete. And within it, humanity's respect was earned, its place in the galaxy cemented, and the story of Earth's awakening destined to echo for generations.